Obviously, we just had kind of a pretty big fight weekend. Did you have a chance to catch the Tyson Jones fight?
Yes, I did. I guess my opinion on that is the question.
Yeah. What do you think?
I'll start with Jake Paul and
Okay.
Robinson. I'll say that fight was incredible. I think a couple things got proved in that fight. Athletic ability is different than fighting ability, as far as Robinson's concerned. And then when it comes to Jake Paul, I think he definitely answered the question that he has what it takes to be a fighter. It's just, I mean, obviously his skill set's not there yet, but he's definitely a fighter. He's not afraid to get in there and throw gloves and go for it. And phenomenal knockout. I mean, that's a highlight reel knockout for his career. And I think he's on the right path. I think calling out Ben Askren and Dillon Danis and obviously Conor McGregor for sure, and then those other YouTube guys. I think you didn't even have to worry about that right now. I think he should, and this is my opinion, I think he should go for Dillon Danis. That's the fight I'm hoping. It'll legitimize him fighting a real fighter. And when I say a real fighter, I don't mean like I don't see Dillon Danis as a real fighter. I see him as a BJJ guy. But he talks so much shit, and I think that I want to see Dillon tested too, and I think it would be a way bigger test for Dillon. I give Jake Paul the advantage in that fight in boxing. Obviously, BJJ, that's a different story. Dillon's great at BJJ. Got to give him credit where it's due. But just because he talks so much shit and he's so disrespectful, you got to that guy's got to bother you a little bit. If not, you got something wrong with you. And Jake Paul's the kind of guy that will step up and throw the heat, and I think that'd be a good first fight, and that'll also get closer to the Conor fight. I was talking to Hav about this, and I think a lot of people were like, slow down about the Conor fight, but it's like, maybe not. Like, I mean, I'm not saying you're going to get the Conor fight next, but if you don't think that's a possibility for Jake Paul to fight Conor McGregor, you're crazy. Like that. What bigger fight as far as on a social media kind of popularity level could there be than that fight?
Yeah.
Jake Paul just has to prove that he's more legitimate of a fighter. He's going to have to rack up some wins. And I think beating Dillon Danis, who is Conor McGregor's training partner and friend, would definitely get him there a little faster. But he's going to have to rack up a few wins, and then, he'll do the whole Conor McGregor hasn't won a boxing match. He's 0-1, blah, blah, blah. And I think that could be a huge fight, and I think they can sell it. I think if they can sell Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather, an 0-0 boxer versus the greatest of all time, and that be the second largest pay-per-view of all time, including Canelo versus Floyd Mayweather, the biggest pay-per-view in history next to Manny Pacquiao versus Mayweather, I think they can sell Jake Paul versus Conor McGregor, and I think that's a huge business move for him because he'll make a lot of money in doing so. So I think his future is very bright, even though it was already quite bright as it is. He's got a music career, he's got the YouTube thing, he's got the fighting, but he definitely stepped up and showed that he wasn't afraid to get in there. And the thing is, I think Logan said this too at some point. It's not about going in there and getting that knockout like he got. It's going in there and doing it. It's one thing to throw the strikes, land the punches, and get a knockout. It's a whole other thing to walk out there and get in that ring, face your opponent face to face, especially an athletic guy like Robertson, and then actually go in there and put those punches together and land them and not be afraid, not be intimidated, and do it. That's a whole nother thing mentally. And he stepped up on what he already knew was going to probably be one of the biggest pay-per-views of all time under Tyson Jones, and did it without any hesitation at all, like literally without any hesitation. For his show, from the time he walked out to the time he got into the ring, to the time he did the stare down, to the time they started fighting, like there wasn't a flaw in his game, up to his skill level. Obviously he's not 100% where he's going to be in the future, but where he is, he definitely didn't have any flaws in his game, and I think that was good.